So this event is to celebrate female founders, as mentioned, and we have Sutton from both the DataShed and Data Refinery, who co-founded both.
Yep.
And we have Melissa Hendry. Nearly said Sutton then.
Yeah, actually, we've got something to tell you.
So looking forward to hearing from you. So we'll get started then.
Oh no.
Thank you, Dan. So question one.
Oh, it's actually like a quiz show.
Who's going to give an overview of your background and how you started your business? Would you like to go first?
Yep, no problem. So, without rushing to make myself sound really bloody old, I spent the first about the first 15 years of my life in marketing. So my background's actually in marketing roles. So I am a full transition tech. Although, and actually I started in direct mail, so that makes me sound really old here with stamps and everything. Holy crap! Yeah. So sorry, excuse me. And so I spent a lot of time working in agencies, working in client side, working obviously with data, get letters anywhere, data. And then I was made redundant when I was 8 months pregnant with our second child. And the company I was working for made quite a lot of money to go away very, very quietly, which was fine by me. And I've been made redundant twice in my life, and every time it's led to much bigger things. So it led to people, I think, the opportunity to see that's really important. And with that money, we just bought our first house together. We already had a 19-month-old baby, and then turned around and business plan, and I'm sure to talk about that a bit more later. Said, all right, right, I shall have my notice in tomorrow then. So, oh, all right then, okay. We talked about it, and I was like, yeah, well, why not? If not now, then when? So yeah, prior to this, lots of marketing experience, lots of data. I saw the transition from offline marketing into online marketing, the advent of PPC, SEO, all of the, the back Google Analytics, trying to push me back into the wrong direct mail. So yeah, as we saw that come along, there was a lot more data involved. Started to learn a lot more about analytics, doing analytics, which is a terrible idea, in Google Analytics, learning a lot more about that, and then really saw the opportunity for the business that we then built. Exciting / terrifying in parts, but yeah. Oh yeah, I mean there is no such thing as a linear career path in my experience. No. Oh, and you think mine's squiggly? Off you go.
It's similar, I think. So I studied event management at Leeds Met, went backpacking, and then I got back, didn't want a job. My mum made me get this job in a cafe bar in Chapel Alton. So I did, and then I was working there. The phone kept ringing. Have you done this? Have you done that? Have you done that? Yeah. Done all of that. And the boss used to come down and have some wine afterwards. I'm a big fan of wine, and I'll chat all night. But we used to stay up really, really late. And he was like, "Oh, you're interesting. Why don't you come and work for my other business?" And it worked out. The internet cafe. He had a small telco that worked upstairs. I vowed I would never work in IT ever. Didn't get it, didn't like it, didn't find it sexy. So, all right, so I'll do some admin work. Fine. Then he was like, I was like, right, I'll give it 6 months. It's going to look better on my CV. I'll give it a year. This is quite interesting. I'm quite good at this. So he was like, would you be the ops manager? I was like, yeah, I think I could do this. Stayed there, did all that, and we grew it from about 350k turnover to 10 million. We had 2 data centers by the end of it. So I learned a lot. It was phenomenal. Then I went into 2 SaaS startups as an ops director, just working out if I had kind of the foundations to scale, tech audits. And then I worked for a company that I didn't morally agree with. So I left and I was a bit stuck. I thought, what am I going to do? There was an agency in Leeds called Delete, and they were looking for somebody that could head up their UK application management system. And obviously I'd done all my ITIL training. So I was like, right, okay, I can do this. This is great. They worked with a company over in Romania, and the agency didn't quite get them. So I was kind of the UK face, because they were very creative led. UX has to come first, the creatives, and I was like, no, it's all about the tech, right? Because that was my background. So I kind of championed that. Then the agency sold, and I had to work out whether I was going to stay with the creative agency or move with the tech company, and we decided to buy out the joint venture and form Droidd. So here we are. Yeah, you know, back yourself every now and then.
Yeah.
Very much. Sure do. So, I mean, this covered the idea of having your own business. I mean, you've both touched on that a bit more. Is there anything else you'd want to say about it? What inspired you to actually go ahead and do it?
So I'll go first, shall I? Ed and I met at Property and Financial, so I was in marketing there. That's where I was maybe those now because I told them that the viable commercial model I worked in within employment to start. No, it's all right. Go and spend X amount of money, lots of money on building a new website. Rebrand it. It's fine. Gut feel it'll be fine. Gut feel is the right thing to do here. We should look at the data, but whatever. Cool. A year later, yeah, it's not working. We need to close down the business unit. So Ed was in the data analytics side of the other side of the business, and we were talking, and we kind of got something to do. That's what we actually got together. And oh yeah, him from the data team, me from the marketing, really. And then I left and went to work at Walmart, and they had nothing. I was basically running the entire e-commerce operation spreadsheet. Yeah, and I was like showing them things like, you know, data performance.
You do.
Like this thing called Google Analytics, and if you pull the data out of there and put it in there, and break it down day by day, and have a run rate. They're obviously an FMCG manufacturing directly. Most they don't do direct to consumer, or certainly not online. They didn't at that point anyway. So yeah, at that point, I was just like, right, well, I just want to connect my marketing stuff over here with my sales over here. And there's a match key. I know it's a match key because my husband says it's a match key. He's an analyst. He knows. I'm like, brilliant. And I went down to the IT team and was like, can you just kind of help me something up? Smash these two separate days. Well, yeah, probably in about 6 months. And it will take us about 6 months for that. So yeah, probably this time next year. I was like, but they need to know the marketing strategy for Valentine's Day in about 4 weeks. I'm like, and the best way for me to do that is to know what Valentine's Day last year.
Come on, we go.
Helpful. Why is there not something like that means that I can do this? I mean, I'm not an analyst, and I am certainly not technical, but there are definitely ways and means that should allow me to be able to access data, to make better decisions by using data to drive insight. I mean, it's not rocket science, is it really?
Apparently so.
I mean, it's expensive, let me tell you. So we're like, right, let's build it. Let's go away and build it, and that's how we build it. And it turns out that building software is really expensive. It takes quite a while. And this was 12 years ago. Not a lot of funding in these at that point. Building for two random people who don't really know what they're doing to build a business, to build some software that
you had a dream.
Someone may or may not want a dream. So we accidentally built a consultancy business because I basically sold Ed. So anyone who will buy him was like, "Oh, we're doing that." Excellent, here, have him. And from Ed contracting, we then was right, and that's kind of where the DataShed came from. So that was the consultancy bit, and in the background, the platform that I originally wanted to build, and that's what I'm now doing. So yeah, that's how I ended up with business A that I have now sold and business B that I now. Yay! Oh, yay! Really? Yay!
How did the idea of having your own business come
Oh, it wasn't a conscious choice. So we had the joint venture, and we had to work out. So I had a decision whether I wanted to go with that company or this company. It totally made sense. but we'd already always talked about it beforehand, like doing something that was pure IT driven. So it was a natural decision when we kind of came to it. And I think understanding the team, especially Kata in Romania, because that's predominantly where we're based, it just made absolute sense. And it was never there was never a moment where I was like, oh, this is a big decision, because, you know, it's unsure and it's new. It was just, it made sense. And, you know, that whole like gut feel of just kind of got to go with it, like in for a penny, in for a pound. Yeah. So, yeah, there wasn't really a thunderbolt moment. Yeah, and I think most life does, right? I don't think you ever sit out and draw up on a whiteboard, tomorrow I'm going to start a business.
Well, you do. I should introduce you. Have met Ed, right? We actually have whiteboards in our house.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not.
I do. Not where I can see them. And if he tries to plan anything out that he expects me to be, then it's... Sometimes I do whiteboard.
Your household sounds odd.
Oh, it is. You should meet the dog. He's the most sane out of all of us.
Thank you very much. Okay, next ones. What have been the biggest challenges you've encountered and what strategies did you overcome them with?
Oh God, do you want to go first?
So I worked out recently, most businesses have the same challenges, which is predominantly like cash flow and sales pipeline. I mean, I don't really think you can massively overcome that because you're rolling with the punches so much. Onboarding people, finding the right people to surround yourself with, onboarding and keeping them, but keeping clients happy and people happy, that's always a challenge. Cash flow.
I mean, if cash flow's dead, then you're dead.
Yeah,
right? There's no two ways
know,
about it.
Yeah.
We've only come close to a couple once, and we've done some work. Ed left me for 3 weeks to get, not actually. No, you went off to Australia for 3 weeks to do one client over there, and I had 2 children to the age of 2.5. It was horrendous. And he came back. Oh God. Okay. Anyway, he came back. I kept the wheels turning. Well, he actually proposed to me after that because he was like, "You definitely can't leave me." Yeah, he went over and did all that piece of work. They didn't pay us. Yeah. They did eventually pay us, but because of complexities with purchase orders and somebody not filling out the paperwork right, not us, it meant that we kind of catapulting into Christmas and December payday with not enough money in the bank to pay our staff. Now there's only 5 of us at that point. So, well, not counting me, not counting it, there were 5 team members. So it was kind of at the point, and I'm very fortunate that my dad's actually from a mining background, so my granddad had literally no money whatsoever. But my dad started his own business, and through that meant that it gave me and my sister a really kind of a much better start in life than he had, and I'm very grateful to that. But it meant that actually Mum has a bit of money in the bank, which meant that I was like, I had her on standby to give her a quick call. Because we knew that the money would come. Yeah. It just didn't. We didn't know if it was going to land before Christmas and before payroll. And I mean, fortunately, one of our other clients, who looked very, very much, you know, for a long time, paid us early. We didn't ask them to. They just said, "Look, Christmas, let's just get it paid." Which was, yeah, I know. But that was probably the closest we've ever come to actual full disaster. And when you're that small and when you don't have kind of that buffer in the bank, when you really are in startup phase, or you don't have funding, it just makes it such a risk. And every person you hire, it's another mortgage you're paying, or it's another set of school fees you're paying, or it's you feel so responsible when you're that small, you know, that well. And the journeys and the struggle from that dreams operations. So stressful. So that's a real commitment when you start. And yeah, cash flow is a real nightmare. It's the biggest one, I think, for everybody. And everyone says cash is king. And you don't know what it means. You can study business studies until the cows come home, you can read all the cases in all the world, your bank account, and then you're like, all of a sudden you're staring at your bank account, you go, you can't pay your invoices, need to fix that. And there is nothing on earth that feels like it's awful. The most awful feeling in the whole wide world. I know,
But then when someone pays you, it's the best thing.
oh yeah, or when you need
Balancing that out.
If it's dopamine, and you and your new client, that's amazing. It's so much fun. So there are times we are talking about these challenges. Though. I
know, but you know,
we're gonna
funny side of the street.
We're gonna bring it back. But yeah, the challenges come with hire people, right? Fit for culture, that's difficult, and there's a really big learning curve that you go through.
Knowing to cut you off early.
Yeah,
That's the hard.
yeah, which you don't do when you first start out, because like it's all right, we'll bring it back, we'll turn it round. No, if you know they're not right, and you have to make decisions fast. Otherwise, it poisons your entire culture. That's really tough. That's a very difficult conversations on that. But yeah, it's always people or money. Always.
Agreed.
Or living with your business partner. Yeah. It's when you twice. It's when you like deliver a coffee on a morning. This is
With an invoice.
This is a long time ago now. We kind of did the coffee system morning. Was like, anyway, so about that contract, and I just looked and I went, not gonna swear. No, absolutely not. Get out. I'll talk to you in an hour. And I went downstairs like, just so you know, the new rule is no talk about work after 7 Friday until 9 AM on Monday. Otherwise, you're going to die.
We've not there yet. We've got roles as well. Have you always done the same role? You know?
Well, no.
Yeah, so that's another one, is working out what you start off and you think you're really good at. It doesn't necessarily mean that's what you are good at. So we shifted around. So there's 4 co-founders and 4 members, and I wouldn't ever do it alone. Like we're like brothers and sisters, and we argue and we bicker. And yeah, it's not pretty sometimes, but when it's good, it's glorious. But we swapped, and I think understanding people's strengths and weaknesses in the team is fundamental. So we did a personality assessment. I don't know if anybody's ever done them, but oh my Lord, someone wrote my personality on a whiteboard, and I was like, holy shit, I'm not actually mental. Like that's just like natural. I'm an introvert, and like I'm a big picture. And Wana, she's like my other half. She filled hers in, and she came to me and said, "You complete me." And I think it's the nicest thing anybody's actually ever said. I was like, she's like, "You're everything I'm not," and I was like, but it's true. She's detail orientated. She's numbers. She's like, no, you can't do this. And I'm like, well, let's give it a whirl. Like, you never know, right? It's all fine. And she's like,
my dad and his business partner used to be called Tap and Yap. So
roll with that.
Yeah. So Dad used to be having a prayer, and John used to be, it isn't a problem.
Yeah.
Tap and Yap.
But it's true, and you have both, right? Yeah. You'll have to take with people that are like, well, let's give it a go, and then like, sure.
Ed and I hired Phil. Phil's our CFO. So
he's like,
oh, he grabs us both back from the edge.
You need a balanced team. So I would also say, yeah, don't be afraid to shuffle. And like, just because you've got a title, titles mean nothing as long as you get a job.
Yeah, the only title that matters is you're the owner. You're responsible for making decisions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, which decisions they are can be different on a different day, because no 2 days are the same ever. I remember once I was running around after rubbish in the car park because I skipped a day before. Like, well, no one else was doing it. Rubbish then. No, it's rubbish. No, the actual rubbish, yeah, with the bin liner. That's the glamorous lines. I had a team of 70 at that point as well. But I was like, I can't ask anyone else to do it. So. Yeah. Anyway, so we were top digress. We did we warn you? So much. Oh, sorry.
Rain it is.
Okay, next one. What's the best pieces of learning or advice you'd give yourself if you could do it all again?
I am doing it all over again.
Yeah. I would say, so when I first started and there was 4 of us, I was the person that was like, we need a plan, we need KPIs, we need a dashboard. Kata, who's the group CEO, I don't see the point. And it infuriated me to my blood, because I was like, how are we going to know what we're doing? And he's right. He was like, money's either coming in or it's not, Melissa. And I was like, oh, that's true. clients are happy or they're not. Are they happy? And I'm like, well, yeah, they're happy. Are they paying? They're paying. Okay, so what does your plan tell me? I'm like, I don't know. 6 months in, that whole plan had changed. And it took me probably about a year till I realised, yeah, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of stuff for, you just never know what's going to happen. So I think to learn to be agile and just roll with it. There isn't, there just isn't, but it took my introverted brain to go, all right, that's fine. I can big picture it, but I needed to know where we were. I was like, I don't need a plan, but I need a roadmap. I need to know where we're going. And he was absolutely right. 4 years in, I'm like, yeah, it's gone. I mean, we're getting there, but you know, we've deviated many times. But I think that would be my biggest.
I think the official term is
But now I've got the thing with friends in my
yeah,
life. Very welcome.
I agree with you. So we've inherited an awful lot of hangover from the DataShed into the refinery. So all of my current team came from the DataShed with me. So kind of because we're already the product team building it in there, so we can carve them out and off we went. So we are the world's smallest team with the most overinflated and overbloated like package support. So everyone's got PMI, for example. Who in the right mind took this PMI to in a startup with 4 or 5 people? But because we were private insurance, big benefits to people because obviously they've all come with us. So, but that, I mean, that doesn't matter. But it's kind of all the other stuff that's come with it. So we've got the world's fanciest accountancy model because Phil. And we've got all this other stuff, and we're like
To tell you that you've got no money.
yeah. And it's things like, what are our, we must know our values, let's do
Sure you know your values.
Our values are, we need more sales. That's our values. And we're going to smile when we do it. That's it. The end. I mean, everything comes back to that we need more sales. That's it for now. So you just kind of have to, and when the conversation veers off into the land of complicated stuff, I'm like, but none of that matters until we have a sales pipeline, a functioning sales pipeline. That's it, the end. We just want to get really complicated.
Yeah,
keep it taking us a year to get to that point now. Stop talking about that. Not yet. Not yet.
The next year, probably.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully.
Do either of you have role models or allies, and if so, what about them is inspiring to you?
Well, how many of us were there at that table? 11?
Yeah.
Got told to shut up a lot. So, have you ever heard of the leadership one? Yeah, so we were on the same table with a bunch of our other female founders and various other supporters. So Sarah Tulip, you probably know, do you? Sandra Moore, who's phenomenal. I don't know if anybody knows Sandra, she's amazing, intelligence. She keeps me sane. Sandra and I share Phil, which is weird, so our CFO. Not husband, that would be weird. But Sandra runs Kind Intelligence, which is a SaaS data platform, which is essentially what I'm now building. So she's been amazing in terms of being generous, explaining how that world works, explaining that revenue model to me, helping me like figure out what's the go-to-market strategy. I know it now. Had no idea 2 years ago what it was. You started GTM. What? So she's been awesome. But it's real people who I can see, talk to, who are in kind of this go-to-market.
Yeah.
Got an IT thing too.
With your TLAs.
Yeah. Got a load of TLAs coming out of my TLA. So yeah, it's really great. But no, there are so many phenomenal people in the Leeds tech space, men and women, who are so generous with their time and who have kind of pioneered, crashed through that wall first, who are just chucking ladders down right and centre. And they are amazing and really good fun and amazing to get drunk with, and you're getting so much trouble with them. We do, really good stuff. It is. Your turn. You're going to say someone really inspiring.
No, I'm really not. So I genuinely hate this question because I always feel like I need a really grown-up answer. I've lived under a rock for about 4.5 years because we set Droidd up in the pandemic, and most of my team, about 165 of us now, but they're all based in Romania. So I'm either over there or I'm in my back room cracking away because I'm quite happy.
Yeah.
And role
In your
models,
little
I think,
introverted box.
yeah. I think role models are a funny thing because you shouldn't ever really put people on a pedestal because everyone has good days and bad days. But I'm having a bad day. I think I'd say Rocky. Why don't think you can beat a bit of Rocky Balboa? He knew that life ain't I'll keep it real.
I mean, I've just got basically a theme tune of you getting out of bed on a bad day, walking downstairs into a room, slamming your door,
Bit of foreigner.
chucking some music on.
That's how my day works.
Excellent.
And mood match music, and if it's Rocky, God forbid.
Everyone runs.
But it's true.
I'll come back to that one. What are the biggest challenges in your business today? Maybe ones you've talked about as well.
Even in sales. You go first.
No, I would say the ones we talked about because they're kind of the most critical and fundamental. Scaling is a big one, and how you're going to go from, because I'm an operations director at heart, and I was always like, standard operating procedures, you've got to write stuff down. Turns out you don't all the time, and learning to be.
It hurts saying that, doesn't it?
It does,
Yeah.
but equally, I'm that person that advocates for process, and I'm the first person to bypass the process, which proves that it's fun. But yeah,
do as I say, not as I do.
But learning to put people in and just trust them, I think, is the biggest thing that you can do, and it takes a while. But knowing that you don't have to be involved in everything, and I'm quite good at that because I'm like, okay, it's fine. If someone's good at it, let them do it, let them crack on. Not try and micromanage and just look at the data. I think it's great. So I think scaling for us to I think getting from 65 to 100 was hard for people, and then from 100 to 165, that was a learning curve. Just making sure that we had, onboarding right and project stuff. But yeah.
What was the question?
Biggest challenges you're facing in your business today?
So not today, but the biggest challenge I've faced ever in terms of business was selling. So actually exiting the DataShed and making the decision to do it. We kind of got it to a stage where I knew that I'd kind of reached my capacity to scale it. I knew I was really proud of the job that I did. So I kind of came into the DataShed full time after 5 years. So I mentioned I was pregnant, so I kind of stayed at home and then did part-time work for the first 4 or 5 years of the shed's existence, and kind of did basically project manager. I was a freelance project manager, did a random bit of BA work, which was terrifying. Managed the cash flow, terrible idea. But did all the stuff that just needed to be done. So if it wasn't engineering, I picked it up, and then kind of set up the project management team because my background, I'm a project manager, just agency side rather than in tech. And then started back at the DataShed full-time first time when Ben started school, and then went, here you go, you run it. I'm going to go over there and build the engineering team out because they need my full-time focus. Okay. Massive imposter syndrome. I don't know anything about engineering, so why on earth would a bunch of engineers follow me? I've still got my notes from Ed teaching me how to do agile on my kitchen table, right back in the beginning. It's like, you need to understand what stand up, to retro is. I was like, I don't know, my English with me. So, yeah, that was fun. And then all of a sudden I was running the show. This is terrifying. Worked with a coach who I've talked to you about, Claire Wacker, she's amazing. Worked with her for 5 years on a lot of things, but one of the things was kind of working through that imposter syndrome and working out what I brought to the table from my non-technical background that really meant that I enhanced the organisation. But anyway, fast forward another 5 years, and we kind of got it to the place where we were making the numbers that we wanted to make to drive the valuation that we wanted. And I was basically going, and my team, I know this sounds really, really trite, but I was really close to so many of that team. I had a lot of them personally, spent a lot of years of my life with them. They'd seen like me through some of my formative career years in terms of that transition. And I really wanted to make sure that we made the right decision for us and them. And I'm not gonna lie, selling a business is really, really, really stressful. DD is horrible, awful. And you need things like asbestos reports on your building, never had in our lives. All right then, and you only find something all sorts of admin, but more to the point, is this the right time? It's a brilliant business, it's a really brilliant business. Should we be selling it? Why are we selling it? Is it the right thing to do? Is it the right thing for the team? Is it the right home? We were pretty confident it was the right place for it, but it was agonising. And also living with a business partner at that point in time, while it was really useful because we could have lots of conversations and really make sure that we're doing the right thing and have all the conversations that we had, it also meant that it basically consumed our entire lives.
No escape, right?
6 months. My in-laws moved in.
Why not, right? Get it all on there.
Children. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, they were also building houses, so you know, they didn't live in a bin and the kids were looked after, so that was great. But we actually literally legged it out of we sat in the woods all day on signing day, and for whatever reason, the paper was at 4 o'clock. I was like, we've got to go, and Amy was like, but there's a bottle of champagne waiting for me. Like, it will just have to wait. Benny's playing the glockenspiel in the school concert. We've got to go. So we literally pegged it to far ahead, and we sat down, watched Benny play the glockenspiel.
Was it good? Was it worth it?
It was amazing. It was a bunch of 11-year-olds with the glockenspiel.
Joyful.
It was horrendous. George played the guitar. No, he was 9. George was 11. He was playing the guitar. All of the parents were like, oh, isn't this lovely? And everyone like, swept the children off the stage, chucked them in the car. We've been told we have to voice some paperwork. We had the wrong witnesses, and it's like, oh my god, this is just awful. And we got to 11 o'clock and things still weren't signed because one of the signatures hadn't known that it was the day, and he was like I do. So I lie not. A guy called Rich Goldsack, of course, had to drive through the street
Incredible own force.
You asked about the challenges, here you go. Rich Goldsack drove through London, found the guy who needed to sign the paperwork. It had his black tie do. You know, the guy who needed to sign was not Rich Goldsack. Rich Goldsack was the finder, not the signer. Like Rich. He went in, got the guy, made him sign it, and I went to bed. So I was like, I can't wait with him.
Now he's not.
I thought it was about half 11. He was like, I know, they've signed. He was like, good. Not even that. I was like, oh, today. And I was like, have you drunk loads of champagne? I was like, no, I'm sleeping. It was tiring. It was, I mean, I don't think. I only got 1 4 hours sleep for about 3 minutes. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. But it's great.
Congratulations again for you.
Yeah, no, well, we came out the other side, and the team, you know, we've kind of got the money off the table to de-risk our lives, you know, which is brilliant. And now I'm doing it again because that's what you do. Because who wants to be bold? Bored. Bored. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm friends with Helen. This is what you get.
We did talk about this before we started this, but how important is diversity and inclusion in your?
I'll start with this one because it was incredibly important at DataShed. It was something that we focused on massively, and it was something that I really felt that we could shift the dial on. We did an awful lot of work with Shed Academy with things like generation and with oh god, what I can't remember the name of it. Can we do it now? Gosh, that's a terrible oversight. But we did a lot with boot camps to bring in people from all sorts of backgrounds, bring them in, and then we did Shed Academy to kind of bring them along and get them to fee earning status with clients. And we had such a huge success with that. I was so proud of it. But we were at a scale where we could support something like that. So we had to get to a place where we were about 40 people to be able to have just general bandwidth within the team to be able to do that. Finding female data engineers is very hard. I cannot tell you how hard it is.
Pokemon, catch.
Yeah, like one of the really, really rare ones. The ones, you know, when that Pokemon Go game where everyone,
The golden.
yeah, it's shiny. And it is a lot easier now because there's a lot more routes out there to actually open up those hiring channels. But back when we started, it was really, really difficult, and it was almost comedy, and it is actually comedy in my current business. Everyone in sales is female. Everyone in engineering is male. I cannot bear it, but I cannot do anything about it right now because everything about my life is about finding sales. And until I get to a place where I have a critical mass of sales and a functioning commercial model in my business, that can be my only focus. I cannot tell you how I'm doing that. Because diversity and inclusion is incredibly important to me. And I think it makes a better business. I think when we're data people, data is people, and people who are looking at data and building out the data economy and building out AI and building out the data foundations that support them should be of a diverse background, because ultimately that is how we're going to solve problems in the future. People who look at things through one lens are never going to solve a broad spectrum of problems, which is why diversity and inclusion is so important. But ultimately, if you can't pay them, then you can't hire them, and that's currently where I'm at.
Life, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. So that's where we're at. Your turn.
Thanks. Well, it's a bit different for me because obviously most of our guys are based over in Romania, and it's really not so much of a thing over there. So I think we're around 35-38% female across all roles. That came down slightly. I think we had more contractors. I don't know if that's the thing. But they don't really understand that we have whole movements around women in tech. Like International Women's Day here is quite a big thing about equality and stuff. For them, it's about just celebrating women being women. They were like, we've got to do what now? We're doing what on a marketing campaign? To do what? Like we hire women. So it's not really a thing that they look when they hire. They just go through a CV. So we just, you know, it's a thing.
And in terms of, sorry, I'm taking a in terms of when you put a job out over Romania, is there a 50 split between the applicants?
Yeah. I mean, not 50-50 because there is more males in the workplace, which is why we're probably, but when we first started, it was about 48% female. So even our senior management team is 50-50.
So it's not a thing?
Not a thing. But I think it's because they have, they champion maths and engineering type courses throughout schools. So it's just a
fascinating though.
Yeah, I mean, I think East Asia has a big thing of, Eastern Europe has a big thing of tech, though it's been a big outsourcing for a long time because they focus on engineering in schools and universities. They have dedicated technical universities, which are just an election soon. Tell Helen, hold on. But it's true, it's fascinating though. How it is just not really a thing. So we have senior people at all levels, but they don't. When you build a team or a project team, it doesn't have to be a mix and match. It's just is. It's nice. But in my world, I don't know if this is something you asked later. I think I have too many women in my world at the moment. We were laughing the other day, like they were all the men.
And 2 sons.
I mean, you went
and a male dog and I am so outnumbered. My CFO is a bloke, my CTO is a bloke, my co-founder is a bloke. I am surrounded by others. I don't mind it. I mean, I've always been.
You can do a day in the life of it.
Swap. Yeah. But now I hired, promoted my director of growth, who's currently maternity leave, director, just after maternity leave. So I'm very excited to have her. Just because I think it'd be really great to have a broad spectrum of voices in the boardroom. Really.
Excellent, thanks for those. I think we've talked about that one.
It's a lot of broad topic. Yeah.
Nailing it.
I think this is probably the last question before we go on to other questions. So, what transformations do you hope to see in the workplaces for GCSE students who are contemplating a career in tech?
I don't necessarily know what's going on in the world of GCSE students. Are they happy? Are we like, you know, they got more courses? If you're old, and then I'm like, that's all too.
I think it's really exciting. GCSE students today are tech native. So
That's the thing, right? That wasn't necessarily, I remember like GCSE bite size. Is that still a thing?
yes,
Is it? Oh,
yeah, BBC. But yeah, I think the next generation is going to really school the rest of us on how it's done, because they will just. So my son's teaching me stuff. He's 12. And he's learning stuff at school, or he's talking to me about things because he does his own research and he watches these videos on YouTube.
they all do, right?
Yeah, but and he's telling me about stuff. They're going to grow up with AI. They're going to grow up with these tools that are just going to come naturally to them. And I think all of us who are currently in the workplace will have an awful lot to learn from them if we just listen. And I think that's ultimately the biggest gift that we can all give each other, is actually giving them space to talk and let us know, but also let them know that they have to go out there and do that research. And they are valuable because they have that time to be able to experience these things and share about what they've been doing. And if people stop and listen for long enough, particularly in the world of like e-commerce, for example, I've heard some amazing stuff. But if we're not listening to the next generation, who are actually going to be our workforce, who are going to be buying our goods, who are going to be paying for services, then if we're not listening to them and how they want to consume both content and services and products, then we're going to be stuffed. So ultimately, as long as the GCSE students are actually really passionate about tech and really are going out there and learning about all of the different that are in the world, we just need to sit and listen and give them a voice.
I think knowing as well that they're probably going to get a job that doesn't exist yet.
I feel so sorry for teachers. How on earth do you do career in a world where jobs just appear?
Yeah.
What feels like overnight, and they're sort of like, well, you can be a graphic designer, or you can be a doctor, or you can be a lawyer, or you can be a content creator, or you can an influencer, or and all of these. A model, not a model, that's in a catwalk model, but like a model builder from an analytical perspective. Like there are so many things that you can be and do, and nuances within different kind of genres that how do you keep up?
Yes. But that's the thing, like even then, like learning proper coding now, that's not going to be a thing in like 5 years. But it's mad though, I think how quick they'll move. So I hope that they just embrace like strap in, because it's stuff changing.
Yes.
Awesome, thank you so much. Loved your answers. So we'll open up to anyone in the room that has questions, or Dan, if you can know if there are any questions.
So what is the future for your?
Yes. I mean, I have no idea. Well, I mean, as long as it can make sales, then great. Anyone who can make sales can come and work for me. That's what we need. So I've no idea. It will entirely depend on ultimately. So I'm very excited to hear the general election. Very excited to see a rate cut from the Bank of England whenever that comes in the future. At the minute, the macroeconomic climate for any business, but particularly for startup, is hideous. It's really, really, really hard work out there. And there are a lot of companies that are very, very good going to the wall at the moment, very small ones that would have absolutely succeeded and been brilliant only 2 years ago, because the climate is so different. We're very fortunate because we're funded and everything's fine, we've got runway. But yeah, ultimately, the getting going has taken a lot longer than we anticipated because the climate is so difficult. So we'll see. Hopefully getting to a place where we know who our government and parliament is going to be for the next 4 years will give that stability. A rate cut will hopefully start some cash moving through the system, which means that we're not having to do the best things. It's
spending again.
yeah, start spending again. Like your time to close a sale. How is yours changed?
Yeah, I think more so with clients that we currently have, just
Yeah.
not or cutting it close to the wire with like renewals or not
Yeah.
quite sure. It's risky.
Things that would have literally been gone, yeah, no problem, sign it 2 years ago are now taking 6 months to 12 months, and they're going up to board for approval because there is so much more scrutiny over what people are spending money on. So yeah, the future of my business, I've no idea. I mean, hopefully we'll be great and everything will be fine, and we're doing all the right. So I was saying this the other day, we're doing all the right things, and product's brilliant, got clients, generating revenue. Ultimately, what we need now is a little bit of luck. We've been out there, we've been stood and stand basically for 6 weeks straight. So I've been in Barcelona and Birmingham and London and God knows where else. Like just talking to people, now following up those leads. It's a really interesting experience, this building this business from scratch, because I wasn't really there for the first time around. And I'm really enjoying it. Are you at the good bit? You're at the good bit. Like, you're saying that knowing you've been successful. You're all, if I talk to somebody who's kind of not made it, they'll look, oh God, yeah, it's hard, isn't it? So it depends on who you talk to. But yeah, I love it, it's great, but I have no idea what to hold, because it will depend on whether we can drive a sales pipeline.
I think ours is slightly different because you're product based and we're services. So I think for us it's more keeping on top of what's going on. A lot more so with AI, machine learning. We've got some really cool applications kind of with clients that are being done with those. So just playing more, I think, and letting the guys go rogue with tech. Yeah, I mean not for me, but for them, yeah. I'll play with spreadsheets.
I can pick that for you.
I don't play with spreadsheets, no one should let me.
No, I've got a product that sorts that out. Just maybe.
So much for sharing the so I'm Katrina and I'm a international business and I've just got like 2 questions. So the first one, you did mention about like one of the biggest challenges about finding like the right people. So what is like your recruitment and selection process like in terms of finding the right people? And the second thing is, I know you did talk about stars of us to tech. But could you clarify, like, what are the various roles that you have in
A lot.
Yeah.
It's a real test of my knowledge.
Yeah.
So question 1, I guess, was onboarding and recruitment. So we have 2 full-time recruiters in the business, and they just kind of reach out to people, you're producing a job, you're giving them that. Then we do a culture interview with the HR team, then we do a technical interview, just to make sure that we're covering both bases, and that the people are happy to know kind of the role that they're coming into. Second question really on roles. I mean, we do everything from full service product delivery, so product roles, business analysis, all the dev roles, front end, back end, full stack, QAs, automation, manual. We do the whole lot, but we break our teams down into like an 8-tier rate card, so there's different gradings based on seniority levels. It makes it a bit more flexible, but also
based.
Sorry?
It's fear-based.
Ish, yeah. And it's based on being able to give people quite a linear career path. So it helps with the rate card and clients and understanding how you can build a team based on their budget, but also the experience level. But it also allows our discipline leads to make sure that we're growing the right way.
So DataShed, very similar. So we were really clear on what our values were at the DataShed, and they weren't all fluffy and everyone must be happy and delightful. It was always be happy. It was always seek value. So if you're not doing something that's driving value for yourself, for your client, or for business, what are you doing it for? Share the knowledge, because that's really important, and we were multidisciplinary, so we could code in anything, we could code in. I'm technically, I'm not an engineer. All different languages that you can code in, all different platforms that you can code on, you could do all of it, and everyone could do like more than one. And it was really important that everyone was kind of sharing knowledge about that. Taking care of the fundamentals. You do the best job in the world, but if there's a spelling mistake on the invoice when you send it to finance, it looks stupid. So everything's important, treat each other right, which was the on the wall worthy version of Don't Be a Dick.
It's really important.
It's so important.
It really is.
It's so important. I remember all 5 things that well, so many people are, but on every single person's job description was, if it's broken, fix it, like this conversation.
True that.
Yeah.
It is though, you don't want people that are.
Yeah, so against those values, we hired people. So there was questions that would stand against those values to make sure that we actually aligned with those values. But then for more technical tech tests, around making sure that they were at the level that we needed to be, just to test that. But you can teach engineering, you can't teach how to not be a dick. Yeah,
It's a life skill, right?
Yeah. So I mean, again, it was an organisation, so we had people in HR and hiring. We had our own recruiter as well, because it's so really expensive. And then we, you can do both though. And we managed the academy, so that was a team. We had support and service, we had the data engineers, we had the science team, we had the BAs and the project management team, which were responsible for money, which is very important, because you can time just disappear. So if you're not actually sticking to the budget plan, then you don't make any money, no one gets paid. It's very important. And camps. So there was a whole load of disciplines across the entire organisation that we had for business now is much smaller, so I'm pretty much everything apart from sales pipeline, although we do a lot of that as well, and the engineering team is still it's a terrible idea. And Lizzie, who was my PA but is currently my ops manager and is moving into client success, who is literally an angel sent from heaven above until you would make her, which is very scary. So she's incredibly effective. Wow, she's wonderful. She also did events at university. Yeah. Apart from here. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So,
Yes, of course.
so basically, I am heavily involved in society, so I'm the director of the society.
Oh,
And
nice.
realised that most of the students are really interested in tech, so we try to get, especially needs starters, we try to get a lot of students to get to know about what sort of companies are out there. Have you ever considered working with like students or like graduates or interns in before?
So we do, but because we're based in Romania, we have relationships with the 2 technical universities in the major cities. We do a summer internship and a winter internship, like a paid internship. It's an 8-month placement, and we put them on the projects, so they get actual project experience of like what it's like working in a Scrum team, what it's like to deliver, what it's like working with different seniority levels, and it's really effective because it gives them real world experience as well as like, yes. Yeah, well, yeah, just because that's where we hire, but yeah, it's definitely something that I think Romania do really, really well. It's common practice across most businesses to offer placements in summer and winter, like paid for 6 to 8 weeks. And I was like, that's a really nice thing, right? Nobody had that. I think I did my 2-week placement at the Marriott, like changing bedsheets. That was all I had to do.
I went to Mexico because they had a great time. I mean, look at me,
Events tech. Imagine everyone having to change bedsheet,
Where might you have ended up?
I mean, that's the question.
Yeah, absolutely. God knows. It's a flipping it.
I don't see, isn't it?
Oh no.
But yeah, absolutely, and I think it's brilliant, and I think keep advocating for that.
And you take one international, so if it's happening, international students, like some of them.
Possibly, but it's harder just from an ease and a perspective because we have relationships with the universities over there, so it's almost like a feeder, and our recruiters are kind of based over there. But I never say never, right?
From my perspective, we had an intern last summer and she did a great job, but I felt terrible for the entire time because I just didn't have the time to support her properly. And I think it's great that you want to put students into startups. I think you need to have them at a point where they're able to properly provide a programme of work and support them properly in there to make sure that their time is used effectively and they're going to get something out of it. I don't think I would do it again for at least until we were a bit bigger, mainly because either they're going to be working for me, which is a terrible idea because I literally have no time and I haven't been in the office. This is the first time in the office for nearly 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I'm never there. Because I'm busy all over the place and my team's scattered all over the place and it's just too hard to give them the experience that they need to actually learn something because that's what they're there for, right?
Yeah, I would say scale up small.
Yeah, so I think we need to get to a place where there was a bit more structure in the organisation to be able to support that. Once there's a structure and there's more support there, which probably I'm not that far off. Probably, well, it depends. Come back to sales pipeline. Once I'm making sales, I can hire some more people, and then we get a bit more. And the sales are a problem. It's just hard to work. Sales are a problem for everyone, right? Sales is always a problem, regardless of how big you are. Because particularly in agency role, the bigger you get, the more people you have, the more sales you need to keep before the clients churn. It's just how it works. But yeah, I would love to. Just not yet. Because I've tried it.
Yeah,
and I felt guilty.
I think you need to be at a certain size where they can be on a project and not need the whole ecosystem there to support.
But there's just no point, right? Because they just won't learn anything other than the fact that startups are chaos, which is probably a valuable lesson.
Brilliant. Two questions. Dan, we've got an online question.
Yeah, so Hector says, how young do you believe that we should children to think about career potential?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think Louis was 4, my little boy, and I was trying to educate him like on a playing shop in terms of like supply and demand. And I was like, no, Louis, I don't think you fully understand it. He's too young to go, right? I think, there's valuable economic lessons that people need to realise.
Absolutely, but careers.
I think it's a really difficult one. Even I didn't know. You know the whole thing of like what you want to be when you grow up. 42 and I still don't know.
I think the important thing is not to close things down.
Yeah, that's
when George is always going to take it to 11, and I'm like, oh my god, darling, just wait. You've got 3 years yet. Chill out. Go and just try lots of stuff.
Yeah.
More stuff the better. And I'll be really encouraging him actually to take as broad a spectrum of GCSEs as he can to make sure he doesn't kind of close him down, narrow down his pathway too soon. Benny, if you ask him, it would be literally like, I want to learn how to fight rainbows for a living.
Louis wanted to be a
ninja
scientist.
I like.
It's like, I don't know what that is, but.
So, I mean, I think there's education about options and making sure that kids know what is open to them. And I also think it's so important that we start to talk about non-linear learning pathways and the fact that just because you pick one thing doesn't mean that's what you're going to be forever.
Yeah.
And how do we kind of make sure that we're keeping everyone's minds open for forever, really? I mean, I know so many people who've shifted career mid.
I think most people.
Yeah.
Most people are not now at our age in where they started out.
And isn't that the joy of this technology and flexibility?
Being able to diversify it.
Yeah.
not box yourself in. I think, you know, some people naturally are like, I want to be, or I have a natural tendency to do maths or science or art, and that's fine. You'll find your way with that. But
I have the utmost admiration for doctors
yeah,
and teachers and people who like pick a career and do it the whole way through. I just don't know how you do it, but and some people feel that way. But I think actually just making sure that everyone is open to options and educated about the choices, and this is where I think, you know, English and maths is so important. It's basic fundamental that it kind of then builds on it. Yes. As long as you get that bit right at school, world's your oyster, really.
Right, oh, Sammy, no, that was the last question, I think, so we're over time, but yeah.
So when you both went into this and set up your companies, I'm sure you went into it knowing this risk and it's going to be really hard and hopefully it'll all work out. But I'm sure there are things that you learn along the way as well that you didn't expect. What advice would you give to somebody starting
Don't do it. Actually, that's a matter of lying a little bit from here, so I actually really enjoyed that. Do it with someone with complementary skills to the ones that you have, because two heads are always better than one. Don't do it with somebody that you can't see yourself spending a lot of time with. Which is why I actually worked out quite well for us. Yeah, I think if you're going to do something, then pick well and think about your options around completely, think about where you want to end up and what your ambition is, because some of the choices you make very early doors, like your business model, commercial model, business partner, the kind of things that you do, can choose your pathway for you. So I wouldn't say, you know, don't write a business plan and a bunch of KPIs before you even get started. Who do that? Not who? Who are you people? But I would definitely think about what your long-term ambition looks like. So if you can success, that's a very different pathway. So if you want to float something on stock exchange at some point, and both of those things are valuable, they're just very different. And it's just figuring out what's your motivation for doing it, why do you want to do it, who do you want to do it with, long and hard about that. Maybe not that long, and not that hard. And also there is no right time. There is no right time, there's no such thing as the right time. If you want to do it, just get on with it. And there's always a way to kind of do it on the side if you want to start, it's just to figure out. It's
yeah, and that's golden. I think
thanks, mate.
it is. The people you surround yourself with are everything. I could never do it on my own. There's 4 of us, and I think I said before, we're like brothers and sisters. And there's times where we sat 7 at night and are like, we're not leaving on this call until we make a decision. And we have this concept of disagree and commit, because after so long, you just have to go, well, we're not going to come to a consensus, but we think this and crack on and go with it. But you have to be able to surround yourself with people that will go,
oh, you've got to make a decision.
talk me through that. Like, you know, I'm not necessarily saying no or yes, but talk me through your logic. Like, are you sure? Right, okay, we'll crack on. Like, and don't be afraid to fail or make mistakes. It's actually in our culture book is, you know, a decision is better than no decision. And we celebrate the wins as much as we celebrate the losses, because every loss it's a lesson, right? So you just have to have that ethos of
either win or learn.
Yeah. You know, and don't take yourself too seriously. Don't do all the, you know, the hard
You've
stuff.
definitely taken that lesson on board, haven't you?
You know, you've got to live it. It's true. And I think, you know, as long as you've got people that are going to ask the questions with you and say, oh, I've got this, or I'll take that, who's doing this? That to me is a team every single time.
A friend of mine set up a company, someone in lockdown, and they haven't actually met in person.
I mean, I hadn't met Swana in person.
But did you know them?
I worked briefly with her, and Kathy was like, no, Wana's our girl. And I was like, sure. That's the word that love her. I haven't seen the guys. We set up the company. I didn't, because it was middle of lockdown. I hadn't seen them in person for a year and a half. I hadn't seen our physical office, and people have been working in it for like.
A lot of time businesses mad, aren't they?
Crazy. But it goes to show, right? Like anything in this day and age is possible. Wing it, go with it.
What a great message.
Try it. Who isn't winging it?
Well, everyone's winging it.
Everyone's
There's
winging it.
people who are winging it in slightly more structure than others, and it's
Okay, yeah.
okay. If you want to be a founder, you really have to embrace winging it because there's no one there to tell you what to do.
You've got to keep it, got to be agile, and honestly, curveballs will come left, right, centre.
and you will make mistakes.
You've got everything does. Right, was that a good time to leave it on? I
Yes,
think
I
we, you know,
think it is.
everybody go out and wing it.
Loved your answers. Thanks so much for taking part in this. It was fun and honest and really great. Thank you so much. So, and thanks for everyone.